You're listening to the Productive Therapist Podcast, the world's greatest and most brilliant resource for busy therapists who'd rather be laying on a beach in Hawaii. Every week we share helpful tips on where to put what, how to do this, that and the other, and the best way to get your ducks in a row. And now here's your host, licensed therapist, head nerd and productivity Yoda, Uriah Guilford.
Okay, hi everyone, Uriah from Productive Therapist here with me today. We're so excited to have you all here. So there's a couple of reasons. I thought we would just start out with sharing why we put this together. And it all started on a boat with a shark and a giant slide, and Uriah and his wife, Sarah, and me, and our friend Valerie Harris and her husband on a boat in Hawaii, and just kind of like chatting about what we do as group practice owners, and also enjoying being on a boat, disconnected from our phones, from any kind of like questions or needs from our staff, and being able to really soak in both sun and downtime without working in or on our practices, right? What would you add to that, Uriah?
Oh, it was a great time. And it was a beautiful place in Hawaii. And we were supposed to be vacationing, and doing fun things, but we were also talking about what we love the most, which is systems delegation, creating a business that allows us to do cool, fun things. And so much so that my wife was like, hey, if I knew you all were going to talk about all these things for so long, I probably wouldn't have come.
This is true, but I'm really glad she was there. She's very fun.
I know, for sure. So that prompted this. And I think for both of us, these are some of our favorite topics because we've figured out some things that work and have allowed us to create lives and businesses that we actually love. And so it's like hard to not want to share that with everybody, right?
Exactly. And so when we talk about today, like why we're gathered and make a case for delegation, the biggest case is that because it allows us to do these big things outside of being practice owners, like go on vacation, like have consulting businesses, like do all of the other things in our lives that are important, like Uriah and his kids making TikTok videos that one time, many times. How often has that happened?
It was not a regular occurrence. It was one in 2020. Yeah, we might have to bring it back though.
But we could. Okay. So that's why we're here, and we're going to share a lot of what we've done to get to this point. So what we wanted to do was just start out with giving you some tactical tools to really look at your schedule, pare down your schedule, figure out what it is that you're doing now, what you don't want to be doing now. And I'm going to ask you to use the Q&A to type in what's something you do not want to be doing right now that you are still currently doing.
I'll tell you one of mine while we wait for people to chime in on that. I'm still the main person managing my email and my schedule. So currently working on delegating that so that I only do some of it, not all of it. So that's mine right now.
I'm going to get personal with you, and I'm going to ask you, like, why is that so hard for you to give up? Because I don't do my own emails in my practice or in my consulting business, and I don't manage my own schedule. And I know that was one of the hardest things to give up because there's that control in the process. So why are you still on it? You're like the king of delegation. Why are you still doing it?
I know. Well, you'll be talking about the delegate and elevate a little bit and identifying the things that you love and you're really good at. And email and scheduling falls in that category of things that I actually like and I'm good at. So I've hung on to it for too long.
Okay.
And it's 100% sort of a control issue. So, but I'm working on it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So we've got, Angie says, seeing a full caseload of clients for sure. Mandy says emails, right there with you. Brittany says marketing groups in Facebook groups and listservs. Mm-hmm. Carrie says billing and managing my schedule. Totally. Anonymous, I was going to say emails, delegating intake and new client calls for sure. Emails, chasing folks with insufficient funds. Okay, we got a lot of good
things to get us started. Okay, so and I hear some themes. Themes are like emails, chasing down billing, some of those admin tasks that just stick around on our plate for a while. So here's my first challenge to you, and we're going to talk about how you break this down. But I want you to start to think about everything you do in a week. So what I do when I'm doing this task, and I do this quarterly, what I'm going to teach you today, I look at my calendar. What did I do this week? I actually also put in my simple practice calendar, like if I have a task that I have to do, I block out how much time I think it's going to take me, because I am notoriously think everything takes 20 minutes, whether it takes 3 hours or whether it takes 5 minutes. So I have to try and project how much time is this going to take in my day. You really want to look at, if you are someone who has a 30-hour-a-week capacity for work, what are you doing within those 30 hours? Whether it's answering emails for 90 minutes a day, whether it's seeing clients for 3 hours a day. So I want you to start to think about tasks in terms of your time. And along with that, and we'll circle back to this, like, what is your capacity for doing during the week as it relates to your business? One of the things we talked about on that boat, Uriah, if you remember, was like how we all are so jazzed about being business owners and entrepreneurs that we're working a lot. And not all of it is like working on our current businesses, but ideas for new businesses or, new things. And so really thinking about how much space and mental energy and actual time in your day you have to complete tasks. So as we're talking, I want you to start thinking, listing out what are all of the things that you do in the week, and don't leave anything out. If it's like, I have to go pick my kid up from school, but on the way home, I'm making a call to the billing claims department because it's the only time I have in a day to do that. Like, put all those things in there, right? All right.
Yeah, I usually call that a time audit, and I do it every maybe 6 months or so. Literally write down everything you do for a week or more. And then you can kind of get an actual visual of what you're doing with your time. Because most of us don't know. We just kind of like do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And we don't know how we're spending our time or how we could be spending it better.
Exactly. And I always think about a long time ago, Uriah, when I worked with the productive therapist, and it was the first time I had ever had somebody come in and do scheduling and calls and things like that. And I remember you were like, yeah, like they're using 16 hours a week. And this is when I was small, like a 3-4 person group practice. And I was like, holy crap. I was working hours a week on top of all these other things that I'm doing. It was a mind-blowing moment for me about how much time I was actually investing into the business part of my practice, in addition to seeing 24 clients on my caseload and all these other things. So it really is, it's a time inventory or activity inventory about how much time you're taking. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk about what to do with this information once you actually have these answers. You should have this workbook. It was emailed out today. If you don't have it, let us know in the Q&A and we'll make sure that you get it. Okay, so this tool is called the Delegate and Elevate. It comes from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. A lot of us have read it and love it and implement this within our practice, a lot of the principles. So the idea with the Delegate and Elevate is you want to be elevating yourself to what your unique ability is, the things that you do best, the things that you were born to do, that you wake up every day excited to do. And you want to be delegating the things that are not in your unique ability, the things that someone else can do better than you, that you could pay someone to do while you make more money doing something else. And so when you're looking at the list of things that you do on a weekly basis, start to think about, what do I love? What am I great at? I know I love and I'm great at making an impact at scale. I love doing webinars. I love doing groups. I love speaking and doing things like that. So anything that's like one to many is something that really lights me up. And I think, don't give me feedback otherwise, but I think I'm great at it. No, you can tell me otherwise. But those are the things that I feel like I'm meant to do. I'm born to do. I'm here to do, like sharing my stories, creating change on kind of a bigger scale. That's something that really excites me. What about you, Uriah? Anything that you would put into this category for you?
I mean, of course, I love coming up with the big ideas and creating something out of nothing. And I've got one that I'm working on right now, and I'm unbelievably pumped about it. And I love collecting and sharing resources. That's one of the things I love the most too.
You do, and you do that so well. So that resource you just put together about all of the travel and all of the conferences for the next year.
Yeah,
that's something that
was
like the Uriah
stamp
on that. Yeah.
For sure.
So the next category over, you're looking at, what do I like and what am I good at? What are the things that I'm good at? I like doing, maybe they're not like my, soul on fire, love doing, but I like and I'm good at. I think that in this category, I would put lots of things. Like, I think therapy in general, I would put DBT therapy and love and great, but like talk therapy or ongoing clients, I like it. I'm good at it, but I don't know. Ongoing things on my calendar, I don't love too much. So these top two levels here, these are the things that really should be your job description. These should be the things that you are doing regularly, again, that show up on your calendar regularly. That is the ideal. That's what we're aiming for. And then we have these two categories underneath. So we have the don't like and good. Right away, I already know I put supervision in this category. I'm good at it, but I don't like weekly scheduled appointments that are the same thing every week. It's just boring for me. And I think that's what it is. Do you have anything that you know right away, like you're good at, but you don't really like?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it's one of the same things too. I'm not a great manager just because I don't love it. I don't want my calendar to be full of appointments and meetings with people to talk about anything, anything. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. I see some great questions coming in. We'll definitely get to them. So then the last category here is the don't like and not good. These are the things that you don't like doing and you're not good at anyway. For me, the one that always comes up is cleaning. I'm not good at it. I don't like it. We have a cleaner that comes to our practice. Some other things are like really like putting together furniture, setting up printers, anything that's really tactical. My brain doesn't compute it. I can't do it. I don't like it. I'll hire a TaskRabbit. I'll empower somebody else in practice to do it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to hang a whiteboard on the wall. It's never going to happen, but it will get done. So those are the kinds of things that I delegate. Go ahead, Uriah.
Can you just say something quick about TaskRabbit and what that is? Because some people might not know, and it's really cool.
Oh, okay. So TaskRabbit, there's an app.
Resource.
You can also go to taskrabbit.com and they have all different. I'll tell you what I use it for. It's for like if I need a picture hung, if I need a whiteboard hung, if I need a piece of furniture put together, you can pay them hourly and they'll come and they will take care of the task for you. And it's all regulated through this company. So it's people that you can trust. It's people that have been vetted. And I find it really helpful. I was actually talking to somebody that's in one of my programs right now, and she was looking to hire like an admin person. And part of the role of that admin person, she was like, well, they can do all these things, but they said they can't put furniture together, or they can't run little errands. And so she also didn't know about TaskRabbit. So we talked about like hire this person that you know is a great fit and just use a TaskRabbit for those like intermittent times that you want something else done. And the person who loves TaskRabbit the most is my husband, Adam, because otherwise he'd be the one putting the furniture together and having the whiteboards. So, it might help your marriage as well. So the idea is when you're looking at your delegate and elevate, again, I do this every quarter and I have my leadership team do this every quarter, that you want to be working within your unique ability in these top two, and anything that's in these bottom two, you want to think about who can do this better than me, who's going to love doing this, who can I pay to do this while I go do other things to make more money, and a fraction of that money is going to a TaskRabbit or to someone else that can do this task. The other way that I use this that feeds into the, office admin being overwhelmed, one of the big, I guess, like pain points that came up as Uriah and I were planning was a lot of people saying like, there's so many tasks that just don't get done because they're either mine or my office team is overwhelmed because of demand. So when we were mid-pandemic, and I have a very lean office team, I have a full-time office manager, and I have a local person who does virtual assistants for me. And so we were looking at like Tracy, my full-time office manager, she could not meet the demand of all of the new client inquiries coming in. I had her do a delegate and elevate. And what showed up was that she was the one who, like, in the morning when we take all of the forms that come in or all of the voicemails that come in and we put them onto our new client spreadsheet, she was like, that's eating up my time. I don't like doing that. Like, it's just transferring data from one place to another. So that was a light bulb for me. Like, you don't like doing this. It's not intuitive for you. It definitely takes up brain power. Let's delegate that to our virtual person who loves a repeatable task, who actually can't do direct client contact because of the setup that we have with her. And so now we have this smoother system where we have somebody else doing the part that Tracy doesn't like and isn't good at. And so it's working really well as a way to separate out who does what and what's everybody's role and how are we all really fulfilled and practicing self-care in the process while being held to our accountabilities. Anything you would add? That's so cool. Uriah?
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were talking there, when you as a practice owner and everybody on your team, whether it's a small team of one or two or a large team, when everyone is working in their sort of zone of excellence and doing what they really love and what they're really good at, it's almost impossible not to reach your goals and not to grow your practice. Because we all, when we show up to do something that we're excited about, we naturally bring our best self, we bring our best energy, and the thing gets done. And maybe even done better than it would have obviously by somebody that was like, oh, I got to do this. And so it really is a really useful thing. And I think also in that book where that comes from, they recommend that you take every 90 days, you take one thing off one of the lower two quadrants and try to delegate it. Right. And that's challenging, but it's a good challenge to take on.
Yeah, I love that you said that because that is exactly how I use it. I follow instructions, right? So every quarter we're looking at what's one thing that we can delegate, especially me and my top leadership team is like, how can we delegate out so we can then elevate up and continue to make an impact, but more at scale. It was actually something, we just had our quarterly planning meeting this past Saturday. And it was like a lesson that I had to impart to basically my assistant manager. Her title is team supervisor, but she was like, I don't think I'm doing enough. And so we had to have this conversation around like what it really means to be a leader and having to have this energy to hold, to support other people, like that open door policy, so that when people are coming with crises or things like that, like you have the ability to do that. So doing enough is really like a relative term for, what are the things that you can do that make the greatest impact given your role. And so when you're delegating out that don't like, not good at, you're allowing yourself to be more in this leadership role where you have capacities to support because you're not overwhelmed with tasks. And I think one of the things that feels really important about that to me, and that was an aha moment for her, was that we're not just measuring doing by hours on the calendar, but by like the mental space that your role takes up as well, especially if you're a practice owner. I think like with my ADHD brain, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs have ADHD, you have to think about the mental load of what you're doing and how that impacts the actual day-to-day. So here's my question for all of you. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're doing everything that you love only on a daily basis, 1 being like you have a lot of work, but you'll get there. Where do you think you are? To what degree do you think you're doing only what you love on a daily basis? I think I'm at a 9.
Such a good question. Are you at 9? That's amazing. Good for you. I think I'd probably be like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some answers here. Oh, we got to turn the chat on. There's a lot going on.
I know. It's so good sad.
Stuff. Yeah.
I have to find those instructions.
Angie's a 6. Hannah's a 4 to 5. Leah is a 4. Kelly's a 2. Got a 3, 2, 3, 5, 6. Right. Okay. So definitely some room for growth and improvement. And listen, everything that you're hearing from us today represents years of work. So much work. And so it is a process and you just have to be patient with yourself. But if you're intentional, like Katie was saying, every 90 days doing this exercise, applying some of the things we're sharing today, you're going to make progress. And that's the most important thing.
And to speak to some of the barriers, because I think like myths, barriers, all of these things come up and they get in the way of people actually doing more of what they're intended and meant to do. And they keep themselves stuck in all these tasks. I'll use an example from my husband, Adam. He is a business owner as well. And he's in the hair salon business. I'm his walking billboard. Don't judge by right now. But so he has been in this process of hiring up a leadership team. And one of the things that his previous manager would always say is like, the team likes to see you around. You need to be in the building more. And so, which I don't think is completely accurate. I think the manager actually who was no longer there, was actually not comfortable like managing. So she wanted another presence there. So what I supported him through, and it's still a process, was like working through this guilt of, no, I'm not in the building every day. Like, no, I'm not working 40 hours a week because I'm also doing because I'm the one that's on call in Hawaii when we get burglarized and I have to talk to the police, right? Like, which actually happened, because those are the other things that we're taking on as business owners. So no, we're not in the building 40 hours a week. And so I think guilt can be a big one. Worry about what our employees think of us. I once did coaching with someone who was really worried about like, well, who does she think she is, that she gets to leave at 3 o'clock when I'm here till 9 o'clock? So realigning what it means to be the CEO of your company and really what that looks like, and being unapologetic for it. It's still a process for me. I had a new therapist come in and she said, and it was an innocent, factual question of, I just want to understand what your business hours are, like when you work, so I know when I can, when I'm allowed to reach out to you. Do you typically work more of a 9 to 5? And I felt it. I was like, oh, like I felt guilty, but I didn't act on that guilty urge. And I was like, yeah, usually I work 8 to 3, but if you need something at another time, I am available, and here are the routes to connect with me. I don't know, Uriah, where are you at in that process?
That's so interesting. There is so much tied up in that. I'm glad that you supported your husband with that. I like to do my own thing. Last week, I was sick, and so I wasn't coming into the office, and I wasn't here for a good 7 days. And today's the first day I'm back in the office. Absolutely nothing changed. Everything got done. Almost nobody messaged me. So, if you really can design your practice around your lifestyle, whether you're a solo practice or a group practice. And that's important to know. For some reason, us as therapists, we think we have to always show up and be there for everybody else and just be the helper and the giver. But what about what you want to do? And I like working from home in my pajamas, so I do that.
And I love that you said that, and I'm going to pass it on to you in a minute for this next step, but really thinking about like, what's your vision for your company that you built? And you didn't grow a company and build it and employ other people so that they could be your boss and tell you when you need to be in the building and tell you what you need to do. I know I left a company because I am unbossable. I don't want people to tell me what to do. I want to be able to follow just like what my vision is and go from there. And so really think about like, how are you living within the values of what you created? And then my challenge to you before I pass it on to Uriah is, what are you willing to delegate this week, this month, this quarter, by the end of the year? I want you to think about one thing. Go ahead and put it in the chat or in the Q&A, and then I'm going to fix the chat, hopefully. Yes. But let us know, like, what are you willing to delegate? Commit to it. Put it on Facebook and tag us and let us know. You're going to get a bunch of tags, Uriah. Get ready.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I want to say that that might be the most important thing that you get out of this webinar today. Honestly, the thing that you write down, one or two, a few commitments that you're willing to make to yourself to work on delegating. That might be the best thing you get out of this. So, because I know that we're sharing a lot already, and so we're only like 24 minutes in, and your wheels are turning. I'm seeing the questions, and Katie's turning on the chat. But write that down. What are you willing to do? And then follow through with, because that's gonna make a big difference. Okay. So the thing that I like to talk about a lot is outsourcing and delegating, of course. And it's either because, and I do this so much, either because I'm very ambitious or because I'm lazy. I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit of both, right?
Still an A and B. We'll see.
Yeah, right. A little bit of both. So I honestly have a lot of tips to share with you on hiring and building a support team. And we actually don't have enough time for me to share all those things with you. So I want to tell you, if you're interested in hiring admin support, hiring an assistant, maybe even a virtual assistant, I have a free course for you. It's called Hiring Your Assistant, pretty aptly titled, right? And so if you go to productivetherapist.com, you'll find the Hiring Your Assistant course. And basically, we distilled all of the things that we have learned over basically the last 5 years of hiring admin support staff, and we just share that freely with you because it is really important to find and hire and retain the best people. One of the reasons why my group practice has been as successful as it has been over the last 7 years is because I've had a consistent team supporting me, supporting my vision. And I was actually telling my group of therapists last week, no, it was the week before, that they don't realize it, but we're incredibly lucky to have the same intake coordinator and the same practice manager for 4.5 years. And I don't know, anybody listening, you probably know that that's pretty exceptional to have that kind of consistency. So for me, I mean, I think I'm good at a lot of different things. I know I'm good at a lot of different things, but really I give a lot of credit to my team and what I've been able to accomplish with that. So this is actually not even in my notes to share with you, but it might be just an easy way to approach this. And this is something that I do with my coaching clients as well. Okay, Carrie says, can see your chat, but still says disabled. All right, she's working on it, good. Okay, building your dream team, right? And I think one of the things that can be most helpful is giving yourself sort of a visual of who you want on that dream team. If you're a solo practice, that might be a bookkeeper, it might be a business coach, it might be any number of support people to help you do what you do. If it's a group practice, it might be an intake coordinator, a practice manager, a clinical supervisor, what else? A site supervisor, any number of things, a biller, an insurance biller. So what I want you to do, I don't have a visual for you on this one, although there is a page on the workbook for you that you can kind of jot down on this or put it wherever you want. just make a list of all of the roles that you want to fill. I don't like handling QuickBooks, so I have a bookkeeper that does that. I can't stand insurance billing, so I have a practice manager that does that for me. And if you fill out that list, you'll pretty quickly see where the holes are. And what I want you also to do is put your name by every single thing that you're doing. So if you're doing all of the, submitting all the insurance claims and putting in all the EOB information, if you're the one that's answering the phone, responding to email inquiries for new clients, put your name on all of those different areas. And you'll probably see, like most of us, that you're doing more than you want to be doing.
Way more than you want to be doing. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I remember when
like that, I had highlighter all over of like all the places I was, and I didn't want to be in almost any of them.
Right. That can also help you kind of take a look at what are the things that you actually, like Katie was saying, what are the things that you love doing? So, some people love blogging. I love writing, actually. And so maybe you want to be spending more time blogging and less time answering the phone, whatever that might be. Everybody has things that they're pumped to do. And then I guess basically what we're trying to tell you is that you should delegate everything that you don't want to do, everything that you don't like doing, and create a system plus the right person in the right seat to make that happen. Right.
Can I ask a question
Okay.
based on what's in the chat?
Please.
Or the not chat that's not working. I'm very sorry. This is a question that I see come up a lot. Finances are a big part for me. I know I need to hire people to delegate some of this out, but I can't do that due to lack of money. Do you have any thoughts on that, Uriah?
Definitely. I mean, for sure, you don't want to add an expense that you can't afford that's not sustainable. But if your business doesn't have enough profit to afford support, then you have to address that first, right? And some of the best advice I ever received was never skimp on admin support. So if you're, listening to this right now and you're like, it's just me, or I have a small team, but it's not enough. The chances are, if you add the right person and pay the money, it's going to give you the results that allow you to afford that. What would you say, Katie?
I think so. I think it's about prioritizing where are the biggest pain points for you, and then how do I want to say this? Like, if you hire a therapist that they're going to bring in billable hours and that's going to create revenue for you. So it's about looking at what is needed that's going to amplify that revenue for you. And if it's that, you're missing 20 calls a week because everyone's in session, but if you had an intake coordinator that they could catch those calls and schedule more clients, it's like the projected return on investment. So that's where I would start. I wouldn't just hire people willy-nilly until I knew that they were going to make me that money back. I like to look at what's the possibility there.
Yeah, and what most of us need the role that we need to fill first is intake coordinator. You'll get a lot more leverage from that. Hannah says, can you speak to the difference between practice manager versus intake coordinator versus executive assistant? So intake coordinator, we all know what that is. Client care coordinator, whatever title you want. They're handling all the inbound inquiries. They're responding as quickly as possible. They're connecting those potential clients with the ideal therapist, if that's you or somebody on your team. That's changed my life, honestly. When I got my first actual VA, who I'm still working with. And that has been one of the biggest difference makers. Executive assistant, I think of them as somebody who generally handles email, scheduling, random admin tasks, all the other stuff that's not related to intake. And then practice manager does so many things. We could do a full webinar on that, but between my intake coordinator and my practice manager, those are the two most important roles in my group practice. What would you say, Katie?
I think that, the first thing I would say is probably some of you are calling one thing and one another, and they do different things. So for me, I would get clear on what are the functions that I need in my business, and then I would decide what I want to call them as compared to other similar roles in my local community so that I can price out what it looks like to pay them. So there's that. Our intake coordinator is the person who does all of the scheduling. She follows up on all outstanding balances. And essentially, she is like the office manager as well. She does inventory. She takes care of our plants. Like, she just takes care of the office and all of the scheduling and billing. I do have an executive assistant. That's the person who I said is local and is also virtual. She manages my calendar. She manages my email. She also manages my personal appointments and plans my vacation. She planned Hawaii for me. I showed up and that was it. So she's kind of like all the things outside of that and crosses into my consulting business as well. Practice manager, I don't have one of them. So I don't know what they do, but I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I've actually, by the way, I just want to say I love spending time with you, Katie, because I'm learning from you as you're talking. I'm like, okay, I'm onboarding my executive assistant right now, and I want to definitely have them do the things that you're having yours do.
I'll give you a list, all the things.
Yeah, I love it. Practice manager, I've actually never hired for that role. I just kind of I promoted somebody that was my admin years ago, and she took over that role. Mine happens to handle the insurance billing, as well as HR, as well as payroll, as well as kind of a lot of different things. But I think practice manager, well, what else would you call that?
Well, so I have an
office
HR
manager, maybe.
So yeah. And I think this speaks to the next question that's coming in and starting the hiring. Should we hire a full-time staff to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or hire a very part-time specialist for each role? I have answers. Do you want to take it, Uriah, or?
Yeah, I'll say it quickly. I think you can grow your business quite a bit with only part-time support. And most people, in our experience at Productive Therapists, and again, we're a virtual assistant company that support mostly group practices. We find more and more so often that people are actually paying more for admin support than they need to. In one example, we had somebody that we talked to who had 3 different people spending 50 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And we actually absorbed all those roles with one virtual assistant who worked 10 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So I would say, no, you don't need a full-time person, most likely. And then I've got some other thoughts on that too, but I'll pass it off to you, Katie. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm aligned. I agree. So there's a couple things. One, I am someone who likes to do each role myself and build the system before I hand it off to someone else. That was something when I talked about like a learning curve. At first, I was like, let me hire support, but I didn't know what I was doing or what to tell them to do. And that's, one of the questions further up was, I feel like I'm not utilizing my VA as much as I could. I think, Uriah, you're going to speak to some processes about that and how to do that better. But in terms of hiring out, I think that choosing people that can be contracted to do certain things is going to give you a better return on investment. I have a social media person that's contracted. I have a Google Ads person that's contracted. I have an HR person that's contracted per hour. So if I were to hire any of those people into my business as full-time or even part-time salaried people, W-2 people, it would be costing me more rather than them getting paid only for what they're delivering to me, which is really, I think, more effective. People like an office manager, intake coordinator. Yeah, I have a full-time intake coordinator because our volume demands that. But other things, I don't think you need to hire in full-time.
The reason I started Productive Therapist was to solve my own problem. And that problem was essentially trying to find highly qualified, very part-time admin support. Mm-hmm. At that point, years ago, I think I only needed like maybe 5 hours a week at most, maybe only 20 hours a month, something like that. And that's tough to find because there's not a lot of people out there that are like going to raise their hand for a 5-hour a week job and also be amazing at it, right? So that's why I think the virtual assistants that we offer are really ideal for small to medium-sized practices, because we can. It's really efficient and it's really affordable when you consider what you're getting. So yeah, I've got like I said before, so many tips on finding, interviewing, onboarding, hiring, holding accountable admin staff, but go to productivetherapist.com and go ahead, and it's totally free. We're actually not, trying to get you to buy anything today. Totally free hiring your assistant course, and check that out. But I will share a couple sort of top tips, if you will. One is don't look for a unicorn. So everybody wants, especially when it's your first hire, I just want one person that's going to work 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week that is a social media whiz, is also really good at QuickBooks, can handle intake, and also, do all the things. And you might be able to find that person. It's challenging to find somebody that's truly good at all of those things. And then what happens is if they get sick or they leave, then all of those roles vanish, right? So don't look for a unicorn, like Katie was saying. Use contractors when you can. and hire people part-time if you can.
Is there a link to the free course I can put in the chat? People are asking.
Yeah, productivetherapist.com/PTM. P as in Paul, T as in Tom, M as in Mary. I just want to tell you legitimately that you deserve to have an amazing team, because I know that everybody that's on this webinar, you've got a vision, you've got a purpose, you're here because you're trying to accomplish something, and it matters, right? So you deserve to have amazing support, and it's worth it. And don't settle for running yourself ragged or hiring somebody that's not ideal for your business. So that's a message that I hope that I wanted to share. And if there's specific questions about hiring, I'm happy to answer those. But generally speaking, your options are hire somebody locally that will come into your office. Number two, hire somebody local that will work remotely. So I call that local remote, obviously. And then number three, hire a virtual assistant. And virtual assistants can do all kinds of things, not just intake coordination. They can handle social media. They can handle, anything that you've done, you can find a virtual assistant to do essentially. So I think those are your three best options. I don't have all of them actually. My practice manager is local remote, so she's about 40 minutes away. And she's actually here in the building today, which is amazing. And then my intake coordinator is about 600 miles away. Actually never met her in person. Hopefully I hope to do that soon. And then everybody else is virtual. So.
That's awesome. Can you speak a little bit to, I know one of the questions was like, when you have a new VA coming on, how do you, one of the, I guess, again, barriers or fears is it's so much work in the front loading process. Like, how do I impart everything that I've been doing to another person? I know some tools that I use, like I loom everything as I'm doing it and I talk through it. And I also use tango.us, which you told me about. And I've tangoed everything at this point. So it basically captures your screen and it's like writes out the step-by-step for you. But Uriah, I know you have some really proven process for onboarding someone with a new VA. Is there anything you're willing to share?
Ooh, yes. Oh my goodness. So number one, don't outsource until you optimize, which means if you haven't documented what you do, you can't teach somebody else and you can't hand it off to somebody else. So the best thing that you can do, honestly, because here's a little secret that y'all don't know. You think you're here to learn about systems from us and you're thinking I don't have any systems. I need systems or I need better systems. Every one of us in our business already has systems. All that a system is, and tell me if you agree with this, Katie, all a system is the way you do things.
Yep.
That's all it is. It might be only here. It might be on paper. It might be in Google Docs. It might be somewhere else. But a system is just the way you do things. So the time audit, what did you call it, Katie? You had another word for it.
Activity inventory.
The activity inventory, do that for the next week. Write down everything you do for your practice. And then identify the things that you want to outsource and give to somebody else. And the things that you want to hand off, just write down how you do them. Make a video. Document what you do. So then when you find the person that you want to hand that to, you have something to hand to them. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I've been thinking about the value in having somebody to sit with while you write out your processes. Like you and I got on a Zoom and I was like, all right, how do you onboard a new VA? Type, build it all out. I feel like that's what I needed in my practice. We got our leadership team together. We were like, what are all the things that we do? And then we actually just, oh, there's a puppy outside. We actually just sat and wrote them out together. And I think sometimes that collaboration, because systems can feel boring when you're writing it out. Am I right?
Ooh.
With me?
Oh, I'll make a confession. I love having beautifully organized and beautifully efficient systems. I actually can't stand creating them. Documenting them. I love to design an amazing process, but I don't want to go document it. So doing it together with your team, or with, even if you have another business owner friend that you want to go do a work retreat with, and just document your systems, it's really worth doing. So real quickly, I'm going to share, just checking the questions here.
Are there new ones coming
Nice. Good resources. Loom, I think loom.com and tango.us.
They're not
when would you
Jessica. Loom is video and Tango it's actually like a PDF. So what I do is I Loom while I Tango. So what I get in the end is like a PDF that has screenshots of a step-by-step. And then I add in a last step with the link to the Loom that says, to watch me explain this in a video, go here, because I have reading visual learners and I have those that want to hear it and see it. And so I just do it all at the same time.
That's cool that you do both of those. I like that. Yeah. So the 3 mistakes that people often make when delegating to a virtual assistant, or just honestly anybody that you're delegating to, especially in the beginning. The first one I already kind of touched on, but it's not being fully prepared. It's delegating and outsourcing too soon, because if you're underwater and you're like scattered and you're disorganized, it's not going to work well, right? So do what you can do to prepare yourself to actually delegate effectively. It's just going to work better that way. I promise. Trust me. We've been through this for many years, doing this with so many practice owners, and it just works better when you got your ducks in a row. And in fact, we designed a process we call the VIP prep package. It takes like a month for us to prepare a practice owner to actually even talk to the VA, which might seem like a long time, but we want to make sure all the ducks are in a row so that they have a good experience, right? Mm-hmm. So make sure you do that for yourself. The second one is simply underestimating the amount of time it takes to onboard somebody and really effectively delegate, because you haven't actually delegated anything until you're no longer managing it or overseeing it, right? Like, so a lot of us try to delegate things and we think that we're delegating, but we're still managing it. Mm-hmm. We're not delegating the outcome. We're saying, here, can you handle this spreadsheet? I'm going to pop in like every 4 hours and make changes and make sure you're doing everything right.
I feel attacked. I used to do that.
I've done that before. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can make a confession right now, but I don't know that it would help anybody. I used to do that. And my intake coordinator years ago said, Uriah, I got this. Like, stop, right? And that's the last one, which is essentially not trusting the person you've brought on, not trusting them enough to let go of control. Trust but verify. Obviously, you want to have a good system and the right person handling it, and then you want to have some oversight. And we could spend time talking about accountability, but that's probably another webinar. So those are the 3 things.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Uriah.
Yeah, if we have time for that would be good. So those are the three mistakes that I think I see most often, and you can save yourself a lot of honestly trouble and heartache by following that.
I agree. And I think I'm being mindful of time. I know we want to wrap up within the next 5 minutes or so. But I similarly used to jump to Tracy, my intake coordinator's inbox all the time until she was like, you're messing me up. Stop doing this. Like, she was like, you're making my job harder. Please get out of here. And I was like, lesson learned. Also, I do want to call out that I had my 2:45 alarm go off that says stop working. So now I stop working every day at 3 o'clock. And so that, nice. That piece no longer there. So let's just celebrate that. I wanted to real quick show you some of my dashboard where when you said trust but verify, this is how I do it. I can do it very quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you'll all have more questions, but we can talk about them later. This is part of my dashboard, and I have many different tabs within this dashboard, but this is my intake department. And so in terms of Tracy, whose job is to convert calls, right? So we look down here every week we meet, we look at how many calls were booked on the calendar, how many intakes she booked, and what her conversion rate was. Same thing with my group coordinator who's been away. So this is very low. How many calls are on the calendar? What did she convert? And so when we're looking at like, can I let go? Can I see whether people did their job or not? Yes, because we're looking at the outcome. We're looking at the numbers. And if Tracy's conversion rate was not an average 60%, if instead it was like every week she was only converting 10 clients, I might be like, Tracy, what's up? Like, what's going on that we're not, getting to the end result that we want? And then we would do some troubleshooting. But when you have the right metrics in place and the right meeting cadence in place, you can start to have these checkpoints of, are my virtual assistants doing what they need to do? Are the people I'm delegating to doing what they need to do without you micromanaging in the process? And I think that's really empowering to the people that you're delegating to say like, you know how you want to get this done, and here's what I expect from you on this date. What do you think, Uriah?
Everybody's going crazy about your dashboard.
I create
90.io.
for my clients in 90.io who join my program for group practice owners, which I'm not here to sell, but I'm just sharing details.
And that is a paid software that sort of helps you implement EOS, right? Traction.
Also, like real quick, I just talked to a software developer this morning. I might be developing my own, but that's like a year away. So stay tuned.
What? Stop.
Okay, go on. What do you think, Uriah?
Where do I sign up?
I'll let you know.
Yeah. So I know we only have a few more minutes left. We were going to talk all about how to apply all this so you can take an extended vacation. So I wouldn't mind if it's okay with you, Katie, saying just a few quick things about that, and then we can maybe focus on questions. Okay. Okay. I was actually driving to the office this morning. This is funny. This is pretty meta, but I was listening to a training on creating systems while I was coming here to talk to you about this. Yeah. And, they were talking about how the point of starting your own business, I think we all did this or thought about this in the beginning, is to create the lifestyle that we want and the freedom that we want. We didn't create our own business so that we could work harder than we ever worked in community mental health or wherever else. So if your business plan is not moving you towards more freedom for yourself, for your family, for your hobbies, for your life, just take a look at that. But I guess the end result, hopefully, is if you create good systems. They don't have to be perfect. You create good systems and you build a good team, and you continually build a good team and delegate, then you will have the space to do cool things like Katie and I were doing on a boat in Hawaii. And I've got a bunch of tips on that, but essentially, I just want to say, apply intentionality to this. And if you can, Mike Michalowicz in the book Clockwork, which just got updated and revised, recommends that you plan an extended vacation 12 to 18 months out, and then you force yourself to do the work to get ready to actually do that. So there's so much else I want to say about that, but I just wanted to plant that seed that if vacation is something you want to do for 3-4 weeks or more, if that's something that excites you, then make that a goal. If it's something else, by all means, replace that with something else. I don't know, what would that be? Anything, really. If you just want to have a staycation for 2 weeks and like garden, great. Build your team so that you can have exactly what you want.
I love that. Are you trying to pander to Debbie with the gardening reference? Because you know she's here. So
unintentional, but hopefully appreciated.
Kelly, it's 90.io. I put it in the chat. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think, Uriah, to bring us back to why we're here, that's what we both did. So my Hawaii vacation was a year in the making with all of our systems and processes and elevating people up. And I know you took like a 4-week trip to Europe that you didn't just decide twice.
Yeah.
They didn't just say like, peace out. You planned for it and you made sure that you had the right systems in place.
Yeah. And I'll also add to that, you don't have to have everything perfectly dialed in to do that. And in some ways, I wouldn't say do it, haphazardly, but if you unplug from the business, then guess what? You learn about what doesn't work without you. And then you come back and then you address that. Right. So, yeah.
And I will say the biggest thing that I learned was that I actually don't need to be as on in my business as I thought I did, because nothing broke or burnt down. And I think it was more of like, I was creating this codependent relationship where I felt like I needed to get involved. And so I was like, cool your jets, Katie, back off, let people do their job. And I think that that's working better. Like they actually did really well in problem solving without me there. So I didn't have to be the one to solve all the problems.
It's amazing. And you know what happened to me the first time in 2018 when I went to Europe with my family for, I think it was only 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks. It was great. But actually, when I wasn't there answering the questions and jumping in the chat and fixing things, people actually talked to each other and then figured it out, which is also true of parenting. Like if you don't solve all your kids' problems, guess what? They're going to learn some independence. And that's what we want for our teams. Yeah. Should we take questions? I know some people are popping off, but seems like we've had some really good engagement and interest.
Somebody asked, how are you tracking all the incoming calls? While I look through and see if there's anything else, do you have a response to that?
You and I might do it differently. We, in my practice, we actually just have a very simple Google spreadsheet, but it's very meticulously managed. So that's what we do.
Well, we do that too because you set that up for me through
Oh, that's right.
the therapist.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
so we use your process.
And then you take that information and put it into 90.io. Is that how that works?
No,
Or somebody
okay.
does?
So we track all of our incoming calls in the spreadsheet that Productive Therapist created. I'm sure we've tweaked it over the past 5 years, but it's very similar. And then we just take the numbers. So for example, like 5 calls booked this week, 3 clients converted this week, and we put those numbers in 90. But in terms of like all the incoming, like names and things like that, it starts in a Google spreadsheet.
Perfect. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, I think start simple too. And that's the thing is like your numbers are going to change over time. So start with free and simple and then iterate until you're at a point where you want things to be more fancy.
For sure. Let's see. Anonymous says, my patients tell me how much they are goofing off remotely. Besides metrics, how do we make sure they're on it? I'm not sure if that's the clients or the admin staff. Maybe it's about managing remote employees or remote staff.
Oh. I mean, what else do you need to manage besides? So when I'm looking at my therapist, I'm looking at, are they meeting their session agreement number? Are they delivering sessions like we market that they are? And we do that by coding tapes monthly and quarterly. And are their charts compliant? Or is all the paperwork in there? And we have a chart coding form. Other than that, like goof off all you want. If you're doing your job, then what else is there? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And if it's, I mean, a lot of people, at least early in the pandemic, were worried about like, are people really doing their work if they're working remotely, if they're virtual, if they're at home? And, that's just because in the past, it was all about like, hey, I see you in the office, I see you working, and that's how I know you're working. But in this sort of new environment, you want to make sure, well, for one thing, for admin staff, we have them track all their time by the minute. I know we do that because we have to, because we're a virtual assistant company. But we use a tool called Harvest. And so I can see what my team is doing right now, including notes on what they've accomplished in that time. So I think that's helpful. And then you are delegating, you're tracking outcomes, you're tracking results, not sort of, just butt in seat time, like clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit trickier, but it's totally possible. I hope that answers the question. I'm not sure. Okay, what else we got?
Admin related. So I think that answers the question.
Perfect.
If you're not booking calls, then it's a problem solving, but that's what you're measuring, really, like how many new clients you're getting.
Angie has another question. Any suggestions on tracking productivity? I hate doing that. Once I hand something over, I have no interest in micromanaging, but that philosophy has bitten me before. Any suggestions on how to balance micromanaging versus not monitoring at all? Ooh, good one. I don't like micromanaging anybody. I've done it in the past, but I'm not like a fan. I want to trust people to follow through and then just be there to cheer them on when they do. But there is an in between.
If you expect it, you need to inspect it. And it doesn't mean you need to be looking over somebody's shoulder all the time. But like, for example, in our last team meeting, hey, chart audits are coming up, 1 per quarter. It's a random chart. So get your shit in order. Get your charts in order. And let's make sure that everyone's doing what they agreed to be doing. Same with like if you agreed to full time with benefits, you agreed to at least 22 sessions a week. So you're reporting on if you're not at 22 sessions, why not? And how do we get you back on track? For me, it's all about like mutual agreements with people. And, I employed you to do this. So you agreed to do this for this paycheck. But I don't think that's micromanaging. I just think that's like quality assurance.
It's accountability.
Yeah.
It's accountability. And EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, talks about this, and it's all about scorecards. It's like, okay, so what numbers, what metrics are you responsible for? Maybe it's the number of clients seen. Maybe it's like, completing your notes on time. So you want to monitor those things, and that's how you do quality assurance. But yeah, I would also say like
all of your client numbers go in here.
Oh my gosh, you're so good at this. I love it.
They all enter their own, like they enter their own so that they're reporting to me. I'm not even reporting to them.
There you go. That's so cool. Yeah. If you do get nervous and overly anxious about if things are getting done, you gotta pay attention to that and explore it. Because we've probably all had the experience of delegating something to somebody, even if it was our kids, and it's not getting done. And then all we can think about is like, is it getting done? Because if you get to the point where you're monitoring your intake coordinator and checking up on them all the time, maybe it's not the right person. Maybe you don't have good systems. Something else is going on. Right.
Have you ever heard that quote? Like, if you're in the position where you need to manage someone so consistently, that's your cue that you've hired the wrong person. I've had that experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That makes sense.
Coming up on time.
Okay.
Any imparting wisdom for our crew here?
We shared a lot of things, and I hope that folks are able to like grab just what they need right now. You don't have to do all of this. Like I said before, it's a process. You got to be patient with yourself, patient with your business. But if you pay attention to what you need to delegate in the next 90 days, and what else? What would be the other top takeaway? I like the idea of making a list of your dream team and then filling in how many of those roles are you doing versus have you delegated, and then use those two things to kind of guide you forward.
I love it. All right. So to recap, go onto social media, tag me and Uriah, tell us what you're going to delegate in the next 90 days. Start to make a list of your dream team. I also want to know, like, what's your why? Are you trying to go to Tahiti next year? Like, do you just want to stay home and garden? Do you want to, start a dog walking business, whatever? Tell us why you're aiming for this. And I really actually want you to tag me and let me know. And I want to see all of the beautiful plans coming into place. And we're here.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
And also, this is a plug for something free, but I'll share a link with everybody somehow. I just created a list of all the most amazing retreats, summits, all the events that are happening for therapists next year. And those can be goals for you too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Places to visit and see us. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks, everybody.